Hello, hello. I'm going to have to start the show early. Let's get going. Hello, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and ohmTown.com is what powers the ohmTown Daily News Show, and that's what this show is. It is for September 16th, 2022. Losing track a little bit more every day. I just learned right before coming on the air, actually, about an hour ago, that EVGA is apparently going to terminate its partnership with NVIDIA and stop producing video cards. That comes from Gamers Nexus. Thought it was an interesting reveal. A few others, I guess, YouTube streamers were notified of it. I'm not sure who all was, but I thought it was really interesting. I only know EVGA as a producer of video cards, but they say that they're going to remain in business. I don't know how that's going to play out. It's going to be fascinating to watch. A really interesting exercise in the three things that I tend to talk about, which is business, technology, and society. So apparently it's about respect. And when Gamers Nexus was talking about it, they say that, and this is something I heard a couple of days ago, that the pricing for NVIDIA chipsets to manufacturers won't even be known until the MSRP ceiling and floor is revealed on stage. And I don't know how a business can exist as a manufacturing partner with that type of information being provided. Basically, here you go. We already know what the price is going to be. We can produce these cards on our own. Oh, here's some partners that are going to get the information at the exact same time. NVIDIA knew, obviously, beforehand, right? They're the producers of the chips. So I think the real goal here is really to push these companies, these partners, away so that NVIDIA can corner the market, raise the prices through artificial scarcity, because manufacturers can't sit there and suddenly ramp up production. They're going to always be behind. I don't know. I really don't understand. But EVGA apparently is just going to bow out and say, screw you. And I don't know really what's going to happen with the other manufacturers or where they're going to go. So it's really interesting to see that happen. Pretty much overnight based on the announcement. Like, I didn't know yesterday that this was going to happen. I just had heard that NVIDIA wasn't going to reveal pricing to anybody until on stage. Just really interesting business dynamic there. And the business is going to be impacted. Businesses, plurality, are going to be impacted, and technology is the crux of it. And society is going to have to react to it, because there's still a lot of people that want to buy video cards, me included. But I'm not going to pay $1,500 for a video card. And for an RTX, 30 series, it's still really pricey. But I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And these 40 cards are apparently 4 slots wide or something like that. They're just insanely bulky, and all of it is going to be cooling. Pretty much all of it is going to be cooling. The board's pretty damn thin, but it's going to be radiating so much heat into your case that you're not going to enjoy the experience. Come on, liquid cooling just for your video card. Anyway, let's get into today's news. This is something that I just learned. It's in the Warcrafters channel, exclusive magic. Warhammer cards. So exclusive Magic the Gathering Warhammer 40K card reveal. And it says here, and they shall know no fear. I don't really play Magic the Gathering anymore. I just don't play the game anymore. I don't play any card games like Pokemon or any of that really. Not anymore. When I was younger, and my kid was younger, and all that kind of stuff. But I love Warhammer 40,000. But it says here, Magic the Gathering has been cooking up every crossover imaginable over the last few years as it planes walks indiscriminately between universes, looking for tasty things to add, and the power armored space rugby players who reside in the Warhammer 40,000 universe are finally on the menu. Whether you are first introduced to the Imperium of Man way back in the MS-DOS version of Space Hulk, the classic dawn of war games, or you're waiting for the upcoming Warhammer 40K Dark Tide, you'll know Emperor of Mankind is no stranger to shedding his glorious light on the multitude of platforms. Just click the link. So there you go. It's a card called And They Shall Know No Fear. So if you've never heard of Warhammer 40,000, or you've been kind of thinking about it, get into it. It is probably the most extreme form of tabletop gaming with world building hand in hand. Like, the world building for Warhammer 40K is spectacular, with various playable races that get turned into elements on a tabletop. You really have to understand that for this next part, which is, I pitched this to Electronic Arts 30 years ago with me and 3 other friends, and they said they couldn't do it. Like, the tech didn't exist for what I wanted, which was basically, the idea was that there were planetary world ships that were always traveling around trying to either dominate a world by removing one force or another and take their resources, or build up strategic points, etc. Right? But the ships were so powerful that they would just be at a stalemate, but you could fight for the planet. But then what would happen is they would drop down armies onto the planet and fight it out. But the entirety of the world was destructible. Obviously, if you puncture the core with whatever weaponry, then you would blow up everything and everybody would die. But the objective was that you could actually fire weapons through mountains, and indirect fire was really destructible to the world. And it was at the scale of Warhammer 40K that I think everybody would love, and it's still not done. Anyway, seeing this card come into existence and talking about Warhammer 40K just brought up all of those memories from a bygone age. And man, I was told that they would never do a computer game. I was told, not EA, but I was told that Wizards would never build a computer game, because their vision was about tabletop gaming. Well, now we know different. But it took decades for them to pivot and see exactly where the light really was shining. At any rate, enough of that blathering on about the past. PCGamer.com is where this article was aggregated from, and it was thrown into ohmTown's Warcrafters channel here. I'm going to throw it into chat. And again, by the way, I no longer stream over to YouTube, but it throws it over to YouTube. It's synced to YouTube. After my stream, it'll copy over. And then I'll put the show notes there, and I'll put it up as a podcast. And that workflow actually speeds up the podcast. Unfortunately, for about 4 days, I fell behind because of the workflow needing to be worked out a little bit better. But now we're up to speed and moving forward. But anyway, again, this article about the exclusive Magic the Gathering Warhammer 40K card reveal was done by Philip Palmer over at PCGamer.com. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check it out. Check it out. Let me load up my other chat here. And we can if you have questions or comments or concerns, just throw it in chat. And I'm working on getting a dial-in feature. I had it at one time, but I just stopped babysitting it, and I'll start posting it as a means. Like I'll either put it down there or put it up there. I'll put it somewhere on the screen, and then people can just dial in and say firsthand, "Hey, I have this question or comment, or the show is awesome, or it sucks, or um, what's this old guy doing talking about news?" Anyway, hey, how are you? Whoa, haven't seen you in a long time, Beans. How are you? Let's move on to the next article. And that next article is over in the Warcrafters channel as well. It how it got in here, I don't quite know, because it has been good, very good. Wow, that was a smooth transition there, Beans. Good to see you. So this was aggregated by from PCGamer.com, but it has nothing to do with it really, unless somebody somewhere in here brings up gaming. But it was thrown into Warcrafters. But Uber's been hacked by an 18-year-old, and it says "Go figure" is the title. It appears that Uber's been hacked by an 18-year-old. As discovered Thursday, a hijacker managed to gain full admin access to the company's AWS, Duo, One Login, G Suite, VMware, vSphere domain accounts, and more. That one is dangerous right there. That VMware, vSphere, and the AWS in tow. That's that's some rough trade right there. That means that they could pull all of their virtual machines and their AWS virtual machines. Are you actually the town of Ohm? It is ohmTown, and that's because we exist in a simulation, and we are a little bit of resistance in the line, hence ohmTown. And me being Mayor Watt, it's actually a family name. My full name is, although I'm Mayor, it's a title, but I am Omer Watt, and I'm Mayor Omer Watt. And so over the years, the name has persisted as a, you know, name of the town and name of the mayor. And yeah, that's kind of how it works. Anyway, there's a little bit of world building there, huh? And I just broke the fourth wall, so eventually I'm going to become nothing but ones and zeros. We'll see each other in the matrix kind of a thing, or in the grid if you're into Tron. That's right. I'd have to translate that, but that's dangerous. So Beans through, if you're listening to this via the podcast, he asked if the Bean asked me if I was, the Beans Lord asked me if I was the town of Ohm, and then threw a bunch of ones and zeros into the chat. So I'm going to go with maybe as an answer. Yuga Labs engineer Sam Curry posted on Twitter about the event, that being the Uber hack. And that is an Uber hack. Having spoken to the apparent hacker, who claims to be just 18 years old, I don't really like adding, provenance to the claim of just being 18 years old, because really some of the most engaged and knowledge hungry and skill hungry people are young people getting a taste of what technology can actually do. And it's an interesting sector to be in. So if you if you look around and you talk to people, you'll find out quickly that a lot of people think that cybersecurity and technology, understanding technology in general, is somebody else's problem. And when you are young and you embrace this and and develop those skills by putting hands on keyboard. Let me tell you, you can develop those skills pretty darn fast because it's all out there, ready to be consumed. So Curry spoke to some Uber employees as to their experience, and they say at Uber, we got an urgent email from IT security saying to stop using Slack. One employee said, now anytime I request a website, I am taken to a redacted page with a porn image and the message, F you, wankers. You are the Simpsons donut, the Beans Lord. All right. Am I supposed to trade you in for something else then? Right? Aren't you supposed to do that with the Simpsons game donuts? I don't know. I'm not going to be eating you. So the article is over at PC Gamer by Katie Wickens, and it always has the black hooded, now black mask because of COVID, phone carrying, laptop using multiple laptop. This picture that they have over on PC Gamer's page says quite a bit. There's 4 laptops on the desk, one with a credit card with the magnetic strip up, which I don't know. Nowadays, anybody using a magnetic strip is just, well, I don't like saying this, that they're asking for trouble. But this particular hacker doesn't just utilize laptops and cell phones and credit cards. They apparently also have a gun that they need to highlight with a desk lamp. But okay. I don't know what's going to shake out from this because I have not received anything from Uber yet, nor has anybody else that I know. So I'm not sure what quite is going to be done. But it says here, Ars Technica reports that this isn't the first time Uber's been involved in a data breach. Back in 2016, Uber allegedly failed to report a massive data breach in which 57 million customers and driver names, emails, etc. My understanding is that this is something akin to 300 million people. But I have yet to confirm that. But anyway, it says we are currently responding to, the recent attack is currently under investigation with Uber's official Twitter account stating Thursday, we are currently responding to a cybersecurity incident. We are in touch with law enforcement and will post additional updates here as they become available. Well, it's going to be interesting calling for an Uber. Let's move on to the next article. This article is an unpopular opinion article, an unpopular opinion piece. I guess that's it. In the order of the grape, it says the coupe glass is trash. Back in the 17th century, the coupe might have been an elegant vessel for serving champagne, but it's a terrible glass for enjoying cocktails. Now, before you throw your autographed copy of Cocktail Codex at me and cry heresy, just hear me out. I don't really like that glass either. So let's just click the link and go over to it. So VinePair.com is where the article was aggregated from. Adam Rayner is or Reiner. I don't know the exact pronunciation. That's where it's from and who wrote it. And Danielle Grinberg, who is kind of like I think it's the in-house VinePair graphic design artiste. Anyway, so it's easy to forget that there was a time not too long ago when we didn't have to handle every shaken and stirred cocktail from a chalice like it was the Holy Grail. It was a simpler time back then. We never worried about some mustachioed. I like saying it like that. Mustachioed. Mustached mixology prodigy making us all feel like a donkey when we asked for a martini on the rocks, or smirking when we didn't have a gin preference for our G&T. That's gin and tonic for anybody who might be a tourist. Anyway. So they say that they're not arguing that the glass isn't elegant. Romantic myths suggest that the coupe was originally designed to emulate the shape of a woman's breasts, perhaps even Marie Antoinette's. However sexy these stories may be, they're also likely untrue. Yeah, we like to it's like retconning. We like to make things more romantic than they are. I don't know. Somebody probably lost a bet and messed something up with the glass, and suddenly it became the thing because they didn't want to throw it out. But I don't know. I just like a regular old glass. And to me, the shape of the glass doesn't mean much. I just want access to the drink without it flipping and flopping all over the place, or too small of an opening for me to have to smash it on my face when I'm trying to take a chug of it. There are several glasses that are like that. Um, the coupe is just one. Anyway, there is a really long article about this. This person is apparently very passionate about this unpopular opinion, but I'll let you go over and check it out. This next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel, and it is blink. United has ordered 515 electric and supersonic aircraft, with the first carrying passengers as soon as 2024. We're going to take a look at the carrier's fleet of the future. I reported this by way of the ohmTown aggregator a couple of days ago, maybe last week. United Airlines announced in September an order of 200 Eve Air Mobility eVTOL electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. The carrier put down $15 million for Eve, which follows the $10 million deposit for another eVTOL in August. United has invested heavily in electric and supersonic planes as it prepares its future fleet. Now, if only they could stop canceling and overbooking, they'd probably be able to stop pissing off customers, but not to mention lost luggage and pets being harmed, and it just goes on and on. But customers are paying the price for the greed that is airlines. Meanwhile, the CEO is making bank, and everybody else is suffering from burnout and not getting paid what they should be. Taylor Raines is the author of this article over at businessinsider.com. And if that's what it's going to look like, yeah, I don't know how many people these things are going to be able to carry. But eVTOLs are urban air mobility vehicles that are designed to be zero or low or zero emission transport options in popular areas. They are ideal for short hops from city centers to airports to avoid congested roadway traffic. So you're basically going to see the rich in business, big business, scooping these up. And if there's only 500 of them, good luck. You may never even see one unless you're in a big city. That said, where I am, I can't say that there's something like this showing up in my doorstep, but I have seen like Ferraris driving near me, which it's odd to see that. Nevertheless, one of the most popular decarbonization solutions continues to be an electric aircraft, with United saying that its confidence in the urban air mobility market. It has confidence in the urban air mobility market. Yeah, these are going to be pricey, and artificial scarcity again is going to make these things apparently worthwhile. So despite challenges, United is going all in eco-friendly aircraft with 515 currently on order. And here are the aircraft that the company is expected to start flying as soon as 2024. Archer Aviation is a electric VTOL, 4-seater. Got to go. Beans, come on back. Thanks for swinging by and saying hi. I appreciate it. According to Archer, the four-seater flying taxi can fly up to 60 miles at speeds of 150 miles per hour. Only 60 miles, for crying out loud. The eVTOL is scheduled to be in service by 2024. 60 miles. Heart Aerospace, it too is a VTOL. Oh, it's not a VTOL, and it's a 19-seater electric plane called the ES-19, but it's a Swedish startup called Heart Aerospace. ESA also ordered 100 of the Heart Aerospace electric planes, while Air Canada has ordered 30 ES-30s, which is the 30-seater version. Then you got Boom Supersonic. That's interesting. It says Overture on it. All right. United announced its purchase for 15 Overture jets in June 2021 with a deal worth $3 billion. These tickets are going to be pricey as hell. The jet will fly at Mach 1.7 and fly up to 80 passengers in an all-business configuration. All business? Well, does that mean there's a party in the back? And it's all business up front? Anyway. Eve Air Mobility. Talked about that just a little bit ago. United's 200-strong order brings the four-seater eVTOL's backlog to over 2,000. And the flying taxi will travel up that 60 miles, like was mentioned previously. But will it really get out of the gate? Considering how long it takes to charge these things, I suspect that it's going to flame out real quick. Let's move on to the next article. That's in the Hatch Ideas channel. This is something that I've been predicting coming around the corner, just to bring everybody up to date in what happened. Well, if you're going to be listening to this in the podcast and not in real time, either way, you're going to find out about this. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped another 139. I think totally it's down for the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure how far down in history it is based on that $1,300 drop a couple of days ago. The S&P 500 dropped, but only 0.72%, so 28 points. NASDAQ down 104 points. I'm rounding up. And Bitcoin dropped below 20,000. I just don't think that it really has enough to hang on to. I mean, the dollar is going up in value, but Bitcoin is going to be regulated. It's going to happen because there are people that are being harmed by taking the risk in Bitcoin and without insurance. And the fact that it has no inherent value. It's not pegged to anything except the US dollar. It only has value because people are speculating, and that whole FOMO, fear of missing out, is real. And like I said, I know of at least a couple of businesses that are in existence because their owners speculated with Bitcoin and it paid off well enough that they can inject money into the business as needed. Gas continues to drop now, not as fast as before, but in the US, the national average is $3.69. While the price of oil keeps fluctuating with the frequency of a cheap ham radio. Well, the Biden administration just rolled out recommendations for regulating crypto that signals potential for a digital dollar and tighter penalties to crack down on crime. This is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. The White House released Friday a comprehensive framework that puts forth recommendations for regulating crypto after a 6-month examination of digital assets. Pardon me one second. So let's go over to the source. It's over at Markets Insider is the section, but the source is Business Insider, and Brian Evans is the author. So it says the report follows Biden's executive order in March calling for an examination of digital assets, and the White House says that said a central bank digital currency has the potential to offer significant benefits. Yeah. Like it can be regulated. And nobody's going to lose everything because they're taking a risk and giving it to people who aren't regulated, and thus there are no assurances, zero assurances. And there isn't enough regulation in the protections of those digital assets in place. Just sitting there, somebody can hack in and steal hundreds of millions of dollars. Versus the US dollar in banks, very well protected, very well defended, insured by FDIC. It's much more difficult to get money out of a bank, to steal it from a bank, than it is from all of these exchanges that are willy-nilly in existence. That they say that they are protecting them, but I just spoke about how a um, there was an auction that was put up, and by the time they completed the auction, somebody had already hacked it and removed $200,000. The total amount of the money that was raised. Unfortunately, the movie star didn't put the money up to cover it. Their assets were protected, but you know, they did their part, right? By just offering it up. Maybe they did something else afterward and it wasn't announced, but I certainly think that it was hinky all around. Anyway, the White House released Friday a comprehensive framework that puts forth recommendations. Let's see if this article actually says anything here. It also comes after the crypto crash in May erased $600 billion from crypto investments, while the sector is still under pressure from Federal Reserve interest rate hikes and persistent inflation. So, for some strange reason, I also feel like somebody important politically was severely impacted by this crypto reset, and thus is leaning hard on the federal government. And they'll make their money back, but screw the little person. Meanwhile, the White House signaled Congress may need to get involved in tightening penalties to crack down on illicit activities. The president will evaluate whether to call upon Congress to amend the Bank Secrecy Act, anti-tip-off statutes, and laws against unlicensed money transmitting to apply explicitly to digital asset service providers, including digital asset exchanges and NFT platforms, which I think is kind of interesting because apparently if you're a senator, you can do all kinds of stuff that the regular Joe can't do. Let's move on to the next article. This one's in the Daily News Show channel. That's the show as well. People who get periodontal care fare better after a heart attack. It's quite interesting to hear something like this pop up in a news feed. It's really a tech-centric idea. The conventional wisdom is that medical and dental care are related, but less is known about how dental care relates to health outcomes after acute incidents like heart attacks. To that end, researchers studied patients receiving periodontal care, dental cleanings, or no dental care during the 2016-2018 period, and who had a heart attack, an acute myocardial infarction in 2017. So you may hear from your dentist that new research is suggesting that the care and feeding of your teeth and mouth is also a benefit to you, even though you might think that it's nothing more than, brushing your teeth, flossing, and keeping your mouth clean and free of cavities. Apparently there's a whole lot more that's really not understood, but there are researchers that are digging into this to find out really what it is that is going on. So I find it really interesting because 3 years ago, I ended up talking with a dentist regarding this. again, because of what I do, I end up talking with a lot of different business owners. And we happen to be talking about this and mountain climbing, even though I don't climb mountains. I tend to be the bartender of people around me. And they said that research is basically more and more research is piling on, saying that the better care you take of your mouth, the better overall your health is, even if nothing else changes. You can eat the normal food that you normally do, but if you take better care of your mouth, you end up being an overall healthier person. It's quite fascinating. So people in the no dental care group had the longest length of stay after a heart attack. So why really is that? It might be because your body is sitting there dedicating so much energy to try and fend off whatever is going on in your mouth. I mean, it is the first point of entry, really, into your digestive system. It's you're breathing in through your nose, but it goes right past the back of your throat. And so everything is just kind of getting filtered by something. It's all right there. So you got to take care of it. But it says here there was no statistically significant difference between the other groups, so the active periodontal care and regular care, compared to the no care group. The study did not establish a causal relationship between periodontal disease and heart disease, but research like this adds weight to the understanding that there is an association between oral health and overall health. Pardon me. And it goes into greater detail about this, but it says using the market scan database, they found 2,370 patients who fit the study criteria. Of those, 47 received regular or other oral health care. 7% received active periodontal care, like root planing and periodontal scaling. That's when they start scraping at your roots. And 10% received controlled periodontal care, i.e., maintenance. So you go in and get a teeth cleaning and stuff like that. It's a little more invasive than just brushing your teeth at home and flossing at home. More than 36% did not have oral health care before they were hospitalized after a heart attack. And the results apparently kind of play out that you have a longer stay if you don't take care of your mouth. So brush your teeth, folks. Let's move on to the next article. Potionomics sets its sights on an October 17th release date. This is something that I've been waiting to see. I like these kind of casual games. Xseed Games, alongside developer Voracious Games, has announced that Potionomics will release on PC via Steam next month on October 17th. The title, a narrative-driven shop simulator / deck builder, will also participate in Steam Next Fest, which I will probably lose myself in, which runs from the 3rd to the 10th of October, which means players might be able to try the game themselves ahead of the title's launch. So it's going to cost $24. I don't know what it's going to cost when it actually gets announced as part of Next Fest. Usually they're a free demo or a deeper discount for early access. But let's click the link. It takes us over to rpgfan.com. And I think I'm going to love this game. It's I keep looking for a game that I can play steady state here on Twitch. And I have yet to find one that really keeps me motivated. Or it completely wets the bed. There's so many games where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then it just, bleh, there's just nothing, they come out of the gate and they're massive and they're popular. And then they die on the vine, in my perception, not in the actual statistical evaluation of them. There's still like 200,000 people playing a game. But when I play the game, it's just horrible gameplay for me and my style. I'm more casual, open world builder, survival, and not necessarily a game that is what do you call it? My brain just shut down. I don't like constantly dying. So, and then have to go and chase down my corpse. Like so many games that are out there. I can't remember right now off the top of my head what it's called. Roguelite or roguelike. I just don't like starting over again and again and again, even if it does get me a little bit better, you know. Anyway, Exceed Games has also outlined some of the key features of the game. There's Wheel and Deal, which is deal making, can be tense between every coin counts, or when every coin counts. But players will manage Sylvia's stress with ease by playing their cards right. Develop friendships with adventurers and other shopkeepers on Rafta to learn more advanced negotiation tactics. And then you get Recipe for Success and Fantastic Friends and Foes. And Your Shop, Your Rules make Sylvia shop. Pardon me. Make Sylvia shop really pop with customizable decor. Style points aren't the only perk. Decorating your shop just right can improve item prices, reduce potion brewing time, and more. And I'm looking forward to this. It says, let's see here. Those of you planning to dive into Potionomics straight away will be pleased to know that you'll be able to pick the base game up for 10% off, while the deluxe edition will be 15% off. Go and check out this article over at RPG Fan by Tom Cox. There's more over there and a video. But go through ohmTown, check it out. And the next article is Who's Afraid of the Consumer Price Index? It's kind of like the big bad wolf, right? So there wasn't really much news on that inflation report. It just said that there was 8.3%. I think that the realized inflation rate is closer to 11. Let's click the link. It takes us over to New York Times. Paul Krugman is the author of this article. This is an opinion piece, but it says 3 important reports on inflation were released this week. On Monday, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York released its survey on inflation expectations, which was very encouraging. On Wednesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released its latest report on producer prices, which it says was fairly reassuring, but maybe for the ultra rich. But the report in between, Tuesday's bad report on consumer prices, has gotten almost all the attention. And it says, and look, I get it. That's him saying it, not me. After a benign consumer price report last month, some people, including apparently a number of investors, had begun hope for a fairy tale ending to the 2021-22 inflation surge. No, I don't believe so. Let's see if Krugman does. It's important, however, to understand what the report did and didn't show. If you still believe that we might be able to bring inflation down to an acceptable level without any pain, specifically without a rise in the unemployment rate, Tuesday's report made it even harder. So let me see if I can scan through this really quick, because he's being kind of flowery, you know. Now, immaculate disinflation isn't a myth. It has, in fact, been happening lately. No, it hasn't. Overall consumer price inflation on a monthly basis slowed sharply this summer, except that it has been skyrocketing. Normally, there's maybe 1.2, 0.3 point increases in CPI over a month's period. But there was an entire year's worth of points increasing the CPI each month since the pandemic. So it's all, again, goes back to the gas producers and the raw material producers reaching into people's pockets at the worst possible time, massive unemployment, but government was feeding some people some money just barely to get by, if even that. And then it was yanked right out of their hands before they could put it in their pocket. Well-off people somehow managed to get that money anyway, we didn't. My household did not get any of this money, and business didn't get PPI and blah blah blah. Not everybody molested the system. If they could get by without it, some people got by without it. And more power to those that did. Why? Because they're not a tax on society. Other people needed it. But then you go and you look at senators and you look at reps that sit there and go, down with the government spending, blah, blah, blah. But then their companies got all of this stuff. And then go look at their hourly wage for their employees and see where that money truly went. Anyways, it says, but look under the hood of the numbers makes it clear that immaculate disinflation won't be enough. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Krugman says that he'd like to believe otherwise. A year ago, he did indeed think that inflation might largely cure itself. You have to be an idiot to think that. Says, never mind claims that we're in a recession. The reality is unemployment is still near a historic low. It's because the to be counted as being unemployed, you have to be looking, and people aren't looking because the jobs that are out there are paying crap. And it's a toxic environment, and people are being marginalized. Even if they do get a gig, they're basically workhorses and told you're worth nothing. Just do your job. Be happy. Be happy the provider is even giving you a job. Needless to say, all of these workers are the backbone of a company. If they were to all walk out, a company, whatever the company, would be screwed. So pay them more, and the CEO needs to take less. I mean, you see it all the time online. People that are rolling in that have to ride a bike in, but the CEO has a Ferrari that's being delivered, Screw you. It says pessimists argue, however, that the high rate of job vacancies implies the inflation control requires much higher unemployment than in the past. And for reasons they don't, Krugman doesn't fully understand, they wave away the good news about expectations. That's because expectations are supposedly out of the kindness of the provider's heart. Anyway, I don't see this article actually doing much in terms of explaining the title of who's afraid of the consumer price index. Well, here, let me tell you what the consumer price index is right now. So, I don't have it open. Doggone it. I closed it because I was looking at the gas prices. I won't be able to pull it up fast. It's kind of okay. So let me this is not good podcast fare, but I mean, BLS really does not provide it in a easy way. So so in June it went up 9.1%. The CPI went up 9.1%. In July it went up 8.5%. In August it went up 8.3%. This on the heels of month over month threats of increasing the interest rate by a full percent, or the interest rate increasing by 0.75%. And on top of that, mortgage rates now above 6%. So, those people that are being told that, oh, well, they're fully employed. They can't afford a house. They can barely afford an apartment because the providers of these places to live are saying, well, there's a lot of money in the system. I'm going to take it from everybody. But it's their fault, right? Anyway, there's actually a numerical value to this, but I don't have it readily available. There's a point by point value, month over month, by year, going back 25 years, 30 years. Anyway, I'm going to come back to that again and again, I'm sure, over the years that I do this stream. And I just got started. So come and hang out with me. Let's move on to the next article. That one's in the continuity report. A little bird told me that Quantum Leap was going to get rebooted, and look at that. In my aggregator comes Scott Bakula confirms he won't appear in Quantum Leap reboot. So famously played Dr. Sam Beckett in the 1989 original series Quantum Leap, which I loved, posted a statement on Instagram which confirmed his lack of involvement in the upcoming NBC reboot series. It says, here's a simple version of what's going on with Quantum Leap reboot and me. I have no connection with the new show. Let's click this link. It takes us over to variety.com, and EJ Panaligan, I guess, is the name. It's a new one to me. So thanks for writing this over at variety.com. Either in front of the camera or behind it, Bakula's Instagram post reads that he will not have any involvement with it. Speculation about Bakula's involvement in the 2022 revival have surrounded the show since the pilot episode was greenlit in January of this year. I haven't seen anything about this yet, so I hope that I get to see it soon. As the show has always been near and dear to my heart, it was a very difficult decision to pass on the project, a decision that has confused and upset so many fans of the original series. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see you in there, just to go in and, I don't know, just make some continuity between the two so that it isn't just jarring, that whatever's going on is something new. Because it's going to smack of, the all female version of the Ghostbusters, where they acknowledge it as a proxy event, but everybody is ignorant that ghosts exist in New York. And everybody is outraged about this all female cast of Ghostbusters. But I think it's primarily because there wasn't any buy-in, really. I mean, it just seems like everybody hated it. And I don't know why, because I like every version of Ghostbusters that comes out. So hopefully this isn't broken because there isn't any real buy-in from the public. I'm going to enjoy it, but it's all of the really loud, angry people about my childhood is ruined because blah, blah, blah. Why? Just enjoy the show, for crying out loud. I'll certainly enjoy it. I'll just have to filter out all the screaming, I guess. Bakula ended his statement about the lack of involvement in the new series with a hopeful and supportive message for the revival's cast and crew. Quote, crossing my fingers that this new cast and crew are lucky enough to tap into the magic that propelled the original Quantum Leap into the hearts and minds of generations past and present. I don't know. Maybe I can go back and I can watch this. Again, there are multitudes of shows here at ohmTown that I want to bring to Twitch, but I'm looking for a host or co-host, depending on the show. I'm just fascinated by a lot of different topics, and I just cannot do all of them as I had originally intended. So if you're interested in being a part of the continuity report, I'm happy to discuss it. And I would like to have 3 people total. So I would like to be co-host and then 2 more up there or down here or wherever. We'll figure it out. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel, and that is Airstream unveiled a $131,880 camper van RV on a Ram ProMaster chassis. Let's take a look inside. That's pretty much the sum of this article. So it's over at businessinsider.com. and Brittany Chang is the author. Airstream unveiled a 130, I'm gonna round up, $132,000 camper van. Need to mute that over there. So the RV maker previously exclusively used Mercedes-Benz Sprinter chassis for the Class B RVs, but apparently converted it over to a Ram ProMaster chassis. They've always considered shifting from the Sprinter amid Mercedes-Benz's supply chain delays. So dun dun dun, that's what it's going to look like. You know, sometimes I wonder if I want one of these kind of things and be able to just hop onto the road, drive wherever I want, park, have everything that I need to exist for a day, full on day trip without having to stop somewhere and get food or whatever. But usually that doesn't work. So, and I definitely don't have the space to have that beast sitting in my garage or driveway. And I'm susceptible to snow, right? So, like, I'd have to shovel around this thing and move it and all of that kind of stuff. So, $132,000 though for this. You can't really see it, but it's basically a big camper van. And the quality of which I'm sure the amenities can be changed depending on how much you ultimately want to spend. But it looks like it $132,000 of value. It'll never be $132,000 worth of value to me. Despite differences in the chassis brand and price point, the range line touring coach is almost $69,000 cheaper than Airstream's least expensive Sprinter-based camper van. The new model still has all the typical amenities RVers have come to expect from Airstream. I don't know. $130,000 for a camper van. I have questions. Anyway, it's picture after picture over at businessinsider.com for this article. So if you're interested in seeing the inside of this thing, it has a stereotypical tiny sink and little microwave and everything's smaller but approachable. It's utilitarian. It'll get it done, but it looks good, for what it is. But everything is going to be taken advantage of. Like every little nook and cranny is going to either be a box for storage or a box for a utility piece, whatever it might be. Fold out bed, awning, and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. There's a whole lot of pictures over there, so please follow that link. And the last article for today, I've got to get out of here, is the LegalTech Fund announces new details on its inaugural summit and startup challenge in December. I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Now this is realized. This is over at lawnext.com. And it says last month, the author Bob Ambrogi reported that the LegalTech Fund, the first venture capital firm devoted exclusively to law and legal technology, had announced plans for its first TLTF Summit in December, a 3-day event for investors, startups, and legal innovation thought leaders, together with the debut TLTF Startup Challenge, a pitch competition for legal and regulatory technology startups. Now, TLTF is providing new details on the summit and startup challenge, which will be held December 7th through the 9th in Miami. So I wonder if this is going to be a COVID hotspot. TLTF says that it's received over 150 applications for a spot in the startup challenge. A panel of outside judges is currently vetting the applicants to determine which will participate. Those that are selected will have the opportunity to showcase their companies to an audience of entrepreneurs, VC, PE firms, law firms, corporate legal groups, and embedded corporations. Of course, there's more to it, but attendance is going to be capped at 250 people. Early bird pricing stops at September 30th. Full price starts at on October 1st. You're going to have to go and check out the pricing and whatnot by following that link over to, you know what I didn't do? There you go. Following the link and going over to the actual site for TLTF. And that's it for today. It says it's going to be held at the East Hotel in Miami. Good luck. Okay, I'm done for the day. I will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. If I have to get started earlier, so be it. But you can always check out the VOD. You can go over to YouTube later on and check it out. You can download it from the podcast. You can actually go over to ohmTown.com and just type in ohmTown.com/podcast. Hey, Dreadnought, you snuck in there and lurked. Were you here for the whole show? I hope so. And I hope you got something out of it. Something interesting, something actionable. Was it worthwhile? Roughly an hour of time. I don't know. I'm going to start doing tests. No, that's not true. Maybe how it would neat, right? I could put up a quiz. No, I'm just kidding. I'd never do that. I do that a lot, by the way. Quizzes. A lot. If you all only knew. Anyway, I hope you have a good Friday and a good weekend. I hope I see you tomorrow as you are out and about. Think of things that you would like to talk about. Come on back. Throw it in chat. We'll have a discussion about it. If I run long on the weekends, so be it. Usually I'm much freer. And coming... Oh, that's some interesting news, right? So coming January 1st, I'm going to be even more available. And then in around June, I have locked it down. I am going to be streaming at least 8 hours a day, whatever I decide. You know, some games, some news, back to games, talking about whatever, going and surfing over to somebody else's channel and highlighting them, talking about them, talking with them. I don't know. But I've got 50 channels that I still want to launch. And ohmTown Daily News is only one of them. And I've spent almost a year kind of, a light pedal towards my goal, largely because personal things kept on invading. So if I don't do it, it's never going to get done. So I'm going to be doing it and pedaling a whole lot faster and harder starting January 1st. So with that in mind, I'm going to get out of here. Have a good weekend if I don't see you tomorrow. And that's it for ohmTown Daily News Show today. Take care. Bye-bye.